One. Whoa, baby. Indiana fans 10-0 has landed on the runway safely for a second straight year after the game, the catch of the college football season. Omar Cooper getting the toe, getting the heel, getting defying the laws of physics to put Indiana ahead. The defense seals it at the extreme end. A 27-24 win over Penn State. IU retains its number 2 ranking in the country. Undefeated with 2 winnable regular season games coming up. It feels like both Indiana and Ohio State are on a crash course for the Big Ten title game. Matt and I are going to give our raw, unfiltered, 40 hours later reaction to what we saw in Happy Valley
Mm.
on Saturday. We wanted to go Sunday, but then we were like, physically and mentally, we need to recover. We need another 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna rock and roll here. Penn State recap. We'll talk a little big picture. We'll talk a little Wisconsin. Yeah, they're coming on Saturday after beating Washington. And we'll talk about all of that and so much more here on episode 355 of the Hoosier Sound, where we are the official podcast of Indiana HQ. We're recording this edition of the Hoosier Sound on Monday, November 10th, 2025. And here I am, your host, Nathan Krishnan, with my normal co host, Matt Lukens. Matt, we're going to keep this episode football focused. You and I talked. We'll release another one related to men's basketball also in the hours, days to come. Football 27-24, 10-0, first ever win at Penn State, a roller coaster fourth quarter for the ages. Omar Cooper's catch will be framed in bars and restaurants and nursing homes everywhere. I mean, wow. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'll let you kick things off, and then I'll feed off of that. Unbelievable epic win on Saturday against the Nittany Lions.
I just want you all to know that if I pass out dead, it's not because, I drink a ton. It's not because
No
I
viral,
don't
no
work out.
bacterial, no
It's
fungus.
no viral.
Yeah,
It's this damn football team that's doing it to me, okay? They gave me a heart attack. I aged about 7 years in that second half.
man.
First half was fine. First half we were
Yeah, it would look
cruising.
great.
Second half they come out, and I remember I was talking to my dad. My dad goes, they always make halftime adjustments to come out in the second half great. I'm like, I know. It's like consistently during the
Yeah,
Cignetti era. The second half is when we really put our foot on the
yep.
throat of opponents and really take off, right?
Eliminate their
Um,
will.
especially in that third quarter, almost like Prime Warriors-esque, where you just have that third quarter avalanche, and then by the time the will of the team is the opposing team is just dead and gone by
Yep.
the last 15 minutes of the game. And Penn State just kind of choked us out in that
Yep.
that third quarter. They had two long
Yep.
drives, that took up a ton of time, and they made it a really close game. And then in the fourth, Fernando Mendoza throws an actually pretty excusable pick. Like that was just a really good play from the safety. I thought the ball
Yeah.
placement was a little bit bad, but that safety covered so much ground in so
Insane.
little time. And I do think that some people are missing the point of this game. There's going to be people that are going to be disappointed that we were in a close game with Penn State. And to them, I say, you might be right. Honestly, you might be right.
You can defend it.
But I but I say, one, winning on the road in the Big Ten is hard for anybody. Ask Washington. Washington went to a hapless Wisconsin
Yeah.
team and got destroyed. Outside of Ohio State, who looks like a juggernaut, everybody in the Big Ten, Oregon just showed you exactly what Indiana did at Iowa, where they went into Iowa and had to fight for their lives to make it out of there, right? Like and in a normal year and any under normal circumstances, going into Happy Valley and getting a win in Happy Valley is almost, if not more impressive than going to Oregon and winning in Autzen, right?
Yeah, I
In
mean,
any normal circumstances.
just for a little thing back and forth there, like I don't want to sweep this because I see a few people do this too. Like, I don't want to sweep this win under it's hard to win on the road. Because, like, for Indiana, outside
It's
of
not just hard to
Ohio
win on the
State,
road.
like
Go ahead, yeah.
I don't for Indiana, it's not hard to win on the road. For Indiana, it's easy to win on the road. For Ohio State, it's
Yeah,
easy to win on the road. It's not it's hard to win at Penn State when you have 105,000 people going absolutely nuts, feeding off of a team that they see in front of them, a Penn State team that they see in front of them, that for the first time in 6 weeks is playing with soul. They're playing with spirit. They're playing with passion.
fight.
They
Yeah,
believe in themselves. Penn State is taking 2 months worth of anger and frustration and depression and disappointment and unleashing it on Indiana in the fourth quarter there in a big noon game where Gus and Joel Klatt are on the call and you're fighting for your undefeated season against that. So this is not South
yeah,
Carolina. This is not Texas, Texas on the road. This is not a team facing a team like Georgia Tech on the road. Okay? This is Penn State, where they are channeling all of that, everything that has gone on there for the last 6 weeks, and putting it into not just the game, because Indiana was fine for 3 quarters, like you said. It was the end.
yeah.
It was the fourth quarter when they were pressuring Mendoza, sacking Mendoza, picking off Mendoza. The offense for Penn State is moving the ball down the field with Grunkemeyer and with those wide receivers and with the running game with Singleton and the receiving game with Singleton.
Yeah.
It's not just winning on the road is hard. It is that situation. It is that environment because that was absolutely
Exactly.
bonkers. Man,
And Indiana shows up and shows the heart of a champion. And
100%.
I think in the single most important moment in the history of the football program, has the most legendary 88-yard drive you could possibly have.
I think you're right.
It is not possible to have a better drive than what they put together there. I mean, everything that could possibly go on in a 2-minute drill happened on that
Exactly.
drive, other than a turnover, right? Like literally everything. You had a sack to start the drive. Then you have multiple 30-yard plays. You have an incredible catch by Charlie Becker, who we'll talk about at some point,
Yeah,
because
we have to.
we have he's going to be a very good college football player at IU.
Oh,
He's going to be insane. Um, an insane catch by Charlie Becker. You have a tipped ball, but that doesn't get talked about. I've listened to so many podcasts. No one talks about the fact that that game was over if the Penn State safety doesn't slip. That
man.
game is over. That tipped ball, and then Indiana scores a touchdown, but Penn State's coach somehow gets a timeout off just in time
No,
to ice the play.
Yep, just
People forget
before.
about
Yep.
that too. The people forget about that too.
Yeah.
And then Mendoza throws a ball while getting tackled by two people, and then Omar Cooper jumps basically at rim
It
height of a
doesn't make
basketball,
sense.
catches the ball, and somehow manages to get his foot down in bounds. I know the slow motion makes it look crazy, but watching that
Jesus
in
Christ.
real time, there's a camera angle of one of the IU social media put out the
Oh,
camera angle
I
of
saw that.
the closest
Yeah.
live camera. He is flying out of bounds. I don't know how somebody's feet move
It,
that quickly,
me neither.
mid-air, body control. It's not
It's out of a
inhuman
movie.
stuff.
It's out of a
Um,
movie. Like you would only expect that to come out of like a Netflix movie or Disney movie for football. Like that
yeah,
you
like
literally Friday
if I'm
Night Lights,
watching
whatever. Like,
if I'm watching Chad Powers, if
yeah,
I'm watching Chad
sure.
Powers
Yeah.
on
They
Showtime,
can pay us though. Yeah.
and you know, and and I see that happen. Like,
That's
I'm like, okay,
madness.
this is
This is
clearly
it's
just a
fake.
movie.
This
Yeah,
script is not real. There's no way, especially when you know the
no,
backstory of Omar Cooper, which caught a lot of sort of fire after I tweeted it out on Saturday. Just as far as sticking with the
yeah,
program,
yeah,
a lot going through a lot
yeah,
over the last 2 3 years, committing to Tom Allen, sticking to the coaching change. I think an underrated aspect is after a
yeah.
good season last year. Elijah Surratt and Omar
He got
Cooper
better.
came back. And Omar Cooper could have left. He could have been like, "Well, I don't want to be the two here. I
Yeah,
can go be the one elsewhere." In this day and
yeah.
age of college football, like you might look back and go, "Why would Omar Cooper leave? That would be ridiculous." Because bags are flying everywhere in college football. And if he wants to be the wide receiver one somewhere, like he could have been that guy. Just like Kalon Black could have been the number one running back at another school. Just like Riley Nowakowski
Absolutely.
or Holden Stays could have been the number one tight end at any other school. Like they could
Yeah.
have left, man. And Omar Cooper has been so loyal to Indiana for many years now, for several years now. I think, 3 4 seasons at this point. And for him
Yeah.
to make that catch in a game where he was covered well for the vast duration of the 60 minutes. I'm looking at the fourth quarter and I'm going, Omar Cooper has like 3 catches for 3 yards. I think that was the extent of what he had until the last drive or the second to last
Yeah.
drive. I mean, Zion Tracy, the Penn State corner, was doing a great job limiting the looks because Surratt's out. So they know Penn State's a smart team. They know, okay, Cooper, he's going to be the primary point of emphasis. And they took him away. So now you're throwing to EJ Williams and Charlie Becker and their Penn State defenders flying in your face. All the guys that got all the hype preseason, Dani Dennis Sutton and Zyke Wheatley and all these players that
This is what I
they
was going to say.
like it all. And you had to adjust for all of that on the fly because whether or not you think this is a good thing or a bad thing, Indiana had a 20-7 lead. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, all they have to do is punch in the ball across the goal line once to make this a 17 point
One
game.
more time.
Just make it a
Yeah.
17-point
Yeah.
game. Whether it's 24-7, or I think there was a chance to make it 27-10. I'm sitting here and I'm like, all
Yeah.
you got to do, you make it 17 and it's the straw that breaks the camel's back. I mean, that's all you have to do. All of a sudden, Grunkemeyer sprays the ball everywhere. You get your takeaways. You close the game out just like you did against Maryland or, Michigan State or whoever else this season. But they never did. And now you're sitting there, you're going, oh my God. I mean, the catch is insane. Mendoza was awesome. Like I guess just like zooming out for my immediate like after sleeping on it, Matt, a couple times. Like for me, like zooming out even for like we'll talk about the catch like in a sec, but like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, um, zooming out, like I sat here and I said, you know what? This this is why this is why America has gone head over heels for college football.
Yeah.
This isn't the NFL. It's not the NBA. This isn't college basketball.
It's
Like
not
this,
perfect.
it's
Yeah.
mad, it's chaos, it's insanity. And especially like this is after I had to sleep on it a couple times. But like there's a lot of noise, right? With NIL and portal and realignment and SEC is better than the Big Ten. Big Ten is better than the SEC. These CFP rankings. Oh,
Mm.
this team, how could you rank them? How could you not rank them? Are the people even watching the sport? I mean, you have a you have gambling investigations going on right now, right? Whether it's baseball or whatever else. Like you got the sports books influencing things, and you got just a
Yeah.
lot of nasty noise in the
Mm.
sport. TV
Mm.
contracts. I gotta
Mm.
find the game on Peacock. I gotta go and the time of the game is weird, right? Oh, why are we kicking off at 9 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Like, why are we kicking off here? For the fourth quarter of that game on Saturday, college football was stripped down to exactly why people cannot get enough of the sport.
Yeah.
That's it. It was all
Yeah.
the other clutter disappeared. Everything else disappeared. If you want, like, all you got to do, and like, I don't know if the fourth quarter is available easily for people in the public, but like, if you have the Big Ten Plus subscription, because right, IU men's basketball, volleyball, whatever's playing right now, men's
Mm.
soccer, and you have the Big Ten Plus subscription, all these football games are available full game. Like, I don't know if it'll pop up anywhere else, but like, just watch the fourth quarter. Just watch the fourth quarter. You don't see annoying you don't see annoying ads read by Gus Johnson for stupid TV shows. You don't see,
Yeah.
commercials
True.
for, sports books and this and that and whatever else, just like interfering with the game. Um, the coaches did such a great job for both teams. I mean, I tip my cap to Penn State here. It's like it's hard when things aren't the biggest testament to you as a person or as a football program is how you do in tough times, in moments of adversity. And all they did
Yeah.
at Penn State on Saturday, and the adversity hit them even in the middle of the game. You're down by two touchdowns. You could have thrown it in, you could have waved the white
Yeah. You
flag,
could have
and
packed
like
it in,
you
right?
could have packed
Yeah.
it, you could have waved the white flag, and like they just kept fighting. And Terry Smith, man, I don't know if like Penn State's not gonna hire him full time. Like if they do, I'll be
No.
yeah, they're not gonna. But wherever Terry Smith goes next, that program, maybe he stays with Penn State. He's a Penn Stater in his past, but like maybe if
I
like
hope he
Penn
does.
State's
Yeah.
number one job after hiring their head coach should be retaining retaining Terry Smith in some capacity.
So
Because
retaining
like
Terry Smith. Yeah.
Terry Smith in some capacity. Ethan Grunkemeyer, man, like that guy, I don't know. Penn State's not going to have him as QB1 next year. They're not. But whatever team goes out there and get, I mean, maybe they will, but whatever team goes out there and gets it. I mean, when Curt Cignetti compliments you post game, like individually, Curt Cignetti said glowing things about one Penn State player post game, and it was the quarterback. Okay. Grunkemeyer in that second half was doing all the right things. And Matt, like we'll transition to the catch here. Like even at the end, when Omar Cooper catches that touchdown, like what caught my attention this morning is that I'm watching that fourth quarter again. I'm just like the camera work was
Mm.
amazing, right? You have the angle right on
Yes.
the back end of the goal line. You see
Could
there's
not
no
be perfect.
confusion. There's no confusion. There's no clutter. The Fox people, attention to detail, like the camera people on the back line got it right. And then you had the camera from the opposite angle on the back of the end zone that got it right. I mean, this like the
Not even just
ref, the
that.
back judge who's right there,
That's what I was going to say.
he got
Exactly.
it right. I'm not whining. I didn't even think about the refs on Saturday, especially at the end. Especially at the end.
No.
In the
I
biggest
thought they
moment
called
of
a
the
fair
game.
game.
In the biggest moment of the game, in the
Yeah.
biggest moment of the college football season, we don't have to talk about the officials. There's no controversy.
In fact, we can compliment them
We
because that was an
compliment them.
incredible call. Yeah.
Unbelievable job by the back judge. I mean, the weather was amazing. The atmosphere was amazing. The players, the coaches, they all did an amazing job. You know what it was about on Saturday, man? It was just about pride. It was just about winning a game. For Indiana, it was, keeping that undefeated season going. For Penn State, it was finding that hallmark landmark moment in a difficult season. And Penn State, man, they play Michigan State on Saturday. Oh man, the Spartans are in for a real, I don't know, maybe we'll disagree on this later. I feel like Penn State's gonna run with it on Saturday against Michigan State. But like in a nutshell, my main headline, Matt, is is this is what college football is about. And everyone else who wants to get their hands in the mix here, they want to influence the sport, pull it in this direction, pull it in that direction. That game on Saturday is why you watch the sport. That's it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right. In fact, I don't think you've ever been more right about a single thing on this podcast. Um, but that soliloquy was
Yeah.
perfect.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and all eyes were on,
That's it.
not Bloomington, but all eyes were on that game because that first window really sucked. And look, to be honest, half the people that listen to this podcast and most people out there have YouTube TV,
Yep.
right? And they can't even watch the ESPN
Yep.
games if they wanted to, right?
Yep.
And so they're stuck watching
Man,
the
did I
Fox
really
Big Ten
miss a lot
games.
of
And
quality SEC action and ACC action on Saturday? Wow, man, I really regret that. Wow, jeez, I could have
to be
watched
fair, the
Garrett
ACC,
Nussmeyer. I could have
the
watched Garrett
ACC was kind of
Nussmeyer
fun.
and DJ Lagway get benched. I could have watched Virginia and
True.
Louisville. I could watch Virginia and Louisville blow games at home as
That,
Saturday.
that's fun. I'm gonna be honest. You're
I
talking
mean,
about the
sure,
sport being
fair enough,
fun.
fair enough, fair enough.
Like that's fun. That's fun. That's fun. The SEC action was not fun. Anyways, besides the
I
point.
just wow,
Um, no, I mean just the perfect moment. Perfect plays for the
that's it,
perfect moment.
all of
And
it.
you probably play out that end of the game probably about 100 times.
Yeah,
I think that outcome happened 0 times. Like, it was just an unbelievable sort of just otherworldly
yeah,
coming together of
man,
karma and years and years and years of
yeah,
bad luck
yeah.
and for it to be the first victory for this IU program at in Happy Valley, and that's the way you do it. And you think about the first time you beat Penn State
Yep.
and how you beat them, and then the last time you beat Penn State and how you beat them with Mike Penix,
Ah,
right? And it's just like IU does not win normal games against Penn State ever.
no,
And
no. Yeah, that's what someone
just
said. Like
incredible.
Penn State is 2 centimeters away from having two more wins against Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. No, precisely.
Man,
But
oh,
the other thing I want to say with this, you alluded to it earlier. I've seen a lot of people discrediting IU for being in this close of a game with Penn State. Again, you talked about the crowd being in it, but that Penn State team, their
man,
season came down to, can we salvage it at all by beating the number two
just
team in the country? Remember, they started the season preseason ranked number two, and they had
did.
that chip on
I
their
thought
shoulder
there
like
was a
this
poll that
should
even had
be
him at number
us.
one. Like, I mean,
There's polls
they
that
were
had
like,
number
or
one.
they at least got
Yeah.
number one votes. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and they started and they said this should be us, right? And we're gonna show the college football world we had a rough go of it. We lost our coach. We lost confidence ourselves. Terry Smith comes in, picks us back up.
Man.
We're really the number two team in the country. We just had a terrible season, and
And
that
it's like, hey,
team
Indiana,
that
if
was
you think you're so good, you'll win this way. You'll win it this way. You're not going to win by beating us 45-7. You're going to win it this way.
yeah, and those players you talked about earlier, the Didai Sunnins and
Ah,
the
Wheatley,
rest of that
Zion
team.
Tracy. I mean, the
I
entire
mean, that
outfit.
defense is loaded. That defense is loaded. That defense is still so very inconsistent. And I don't think their defensive coordinator is all that good, to be honest.
Zane
But
Durant, King Mack, Dom
but
DeLuca,
but those guys are
Amari Campbell.
so good. They're so good, and they finally, for the first time this year, really put it all together. I think played their first complete real game against Indiana. I don't think it helped that Indiana was, just really struggling on the offensive line with injuries and such, and we need to get that fixed. But either way, I mean, they really showed up and they fought and they played like that team that we thought they would be preseason. Of course,
Yeah.
they don't have Drew Aller, but they also were airing it out down the
Yeah,
field,
they
which they didn't
just,
do with Drew Aller. They were being multi-dimensional on offense, which is not something that Penn State has done all year. And they were
man.
trying to do different things and actually stretch defense out, which is again not something they've done all year. And IU
Yeah.
fought through all of that and still found a way to win. And that is all that matters at the end of the day. If you're going to win a championship, you're going to fight for a Big Ten championship, you're going to fight for a national title berth or a national championship. You're gonna have to win games like this. You just do. Even the best teams in the entire sport. You go and think back to like the Joe Burrow 2019 LSU team. Then they steamrolled almost every single opponent. They still had games like this where they had to go down to the wire against teams they probably should beat, and they
Hell,
struggled against
last
them.
year's
You
Ohio
think
State
back
team
to
lost
Ohio State
twice.
team lost
Twice.
twice, right? Yeah, you're going to lose games. College football has never been closer. I mean, there's never been as much parity as there is now in the sport. And so yeah, I mean, you're going to have games like this
Yeah.
and in one of the hardest environments to play in the Big Ten against a team with all of, basically not even just back against the wall. They have no back. They're fighting with all of
I
the
didn't
weight of the
think.
world off their shoulders,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no pressure on them at all. There's no pressure at all. And so again,
Man,
yeah, I mean,
absolute
just an
fireworks.
incredible, incredible, incredible victory. And one that I hope I don't ever have to freaking live through again. Uh,
Man,
one that I
crazy.
never have to, again, that, by the
There's,
way, guys,
there's gonna be
for those
another
that
game.
are listening in,
There's gonna be another
I
game.
know,
Yeah.
but for those of you just listening in and aren't super familiar with the podcast, I live in China. This game started at 1 in the morning and I had to work the next day. Right.
Man.
I went to bed early, woke up at 1 a.m., watched the whole game, and then I didn't go to sleep afterwards.
No, you
And
can't.
you
There's
can hear
no
me. I'm
way.
still sick from it. I couldn't sleep. I was too fired up about what I had just saw with my own eyes. I could not believe what I witnessed with my own eyes. Again, this is, I think I've said this about 17 times in the last 2 years. But I remember sitting there, in the
You were
band
young. Yeah.
watching Rutgers,
Yeah.
come back from 28 down in the
Uh,
third quarter to win a game in Memorial Stadium. I remember being in the band traveling to Michigan State to watch us get
oh,
our teeth kicked in. I remember going to Ohio State and pretending like we were going to make it spooky for 2 quarters, and then knowing that, we were going to get on a bus and have to drive back 3 hours to Bloomington sad because we lost a game by 50.
yeah.
Like,
The real ones have
and
been there.
how far this program has come, that I went into this game going, I'm kind of scared of Penn State, but I think we're going to win. And the performance that they put on, and the fight
I
that they
just,
showed, and the heart of the champion that they
man.
displayed, and to cap it all off, how fired up Sig was
Ah,
after the game. And you kind of catch it on the TV after they do the interview with him.
yeah.
But they do the interview with him, and he walks off, he just goes, like, that was all of us, right? That was everybody. We're like, what just
Right.
happened? Right.
Nuts.
And the team fought for, each other and the coaching staff
That's
and
it.
the future of the season, and they had each other arm in arm. The defense, shows up right when we need them to. They hadn't been playing well all day, really, and they get the much needed stop to get the
Man.
ball back, with our last timeout used and the 2 minute warning, and just the by teeth
Yeah.
and nails,
Yeah.
just barely
Oh,
scraping by. Such an incredible game. This program it's such a privilege to follow them and be a fan of them,
man.
and it's such a good story. Um, and speaking of good stories, I think we need to talk about Charlie Becker, right?
Ooh, we'll do
Because
that
I
here,
think
Matt.
we've made it this far. Yeah, go
We'll do
ahead.
that
Because
here, Matt.
we haven't made it this far, and we made it this far without really talking about him too
There are
much.
about seven more things I need to talk about, and we wanted to keep this to 40 minutes. That's not happening. But first, what I'm going to do is tell you who
Yeah,
won
no.
the week in IU sports this past week. And right now, Matt, I mean, right now, we are in the utopia zone for Indiana athletics. I mean, how about the unbelievable field hockey team this year? just an incredible season. Emma Thompson selected to the all tournament team in the Big Ten. We're gonna have a men's basketball episode coming up 2-0. I mean, we got a lot to talk about there in a different episode that we do. Wrestling team is number
So
26 of the
much.
season opening up here. Men's soccer about to kick off
Really?
NCAA tournament play. Women's soccer did really good things this year. The women's basketball team off to a 2-0 start. Shea Chesky's averaging like
Yeah.
30 a game, absolutely balling out as a scoring guard. Yeah, I mean, just an amazing, IU volleyball team's rolling. Tough loss at Wisconsin, but they had their historic win at Penn State, in the last
Yeah.
week. It's just an epic victory for Steve Aird's team as they get ready for the tournament. So it's just all there's a lot going well right now as far as Indiana athletics is concerned. As someone tweeted out, I think it was Hoosier Commish tweeted out this week, maybe on Saturday or yesterday on Sunday. Scott Dolson, you have done it again. I mean, just like everything
Yeah.
as far as the
Yeah.
athletics
Yeah.
department largely is humming along. So shout out to all those folks who won the week this past week in IU sports. Folks, a reminder. If you enjoy our show, leave us a review, tell a friend, share our links. Your support really helps us grow this podcast and reach more passionate IU fans such as yourself. Again, you can find us on social media at Indiana HQ or at the Hoosier Sound. The masses are growing, the followers are coming, people are sharing, retweeting, liking our stuff. Make sure you join the forces if you have not already. If you have followed us, again, retweet, like our stuff. Also let others know. We're one-stop shop for IU sports here. No agendas, no frills. Stick to facts, the real stuff. Like, give us a follow. We won't steer you wrong here. Just keep growing our numbers. There's a lot to talk about, Matt. We're not going to rehash the catch much longer. Omar Cooper, you guys all know what happened there. The backstory with
Super
him.
Cooper.
You just, the toe tap, the heel tap, whatever you want to call it. Just everything there. There are a few other things we have to sort of get through here as far as the Penn State game is concerned. Matt, you started it off with Charlie Becker. Seven catches, 118 yards, sophomore from Nashville, Tennessee. This, man, like the way I see it, Curt Cignetti loves the transfer portal. He really does, right? And
Yeah.
he's done a great job using it wisely to help both sides of the football, whether it was bringing over JMU guys or if you look at bringing over Curtis Shorker, Fernando Mendoza, whether it's guys in the trenches like Pat Coogan, CJ West, Stephen Daly. Um,
Mm.
there's a lot there, right? I feel like, Matt, on this team, whatever budget you used or you have planned for the portal this upcoming offseason, you've got to allocate a larger chunk of that budget to retaining some of these guys next season because
Yeah.
the
Yep.
phone calls are already flying. There are programs out there that sure as hell know that Charlie Becker is an emerging wide receiver, that Kobe Martin is an emerging
Yeah.
running back, that Ade Ajani is an
Yep.
emerging offensive lineman. Like programs
Mm.
all across America know that these guys are rolling. Caden Turner at
Mm.
linebacker, right? Isaiah Jones and Elijah Hardy at
Yes.
linebacker. The corners that are emerging as
Yes.
well. The safeties, Byron Baldwin, he's gonna get phone. They're gonna
Yeah.
try to poach him. Charlie Becker, 7 catches, 118 yards. He's doing his Cooper Cup in his prime impression out there at the Beaver Stadium. Did you see that the Beaver Stadium field? I don't remember who the sponsor was on that field, but we're just gonna call it the Beaver Stadium field in State College. Um, you know, I was not expecting Charlie Becker to be this splashy, this effective in 2025. There were signs, though, even going back to Indiana State, going back
Yeah.
even as recently as the Maryland game with that 50-yard catch and run that he had, that there was something noticeable here as far as a
Mm.
weapon that could be an impact. And
Mm.
I I watched that game on Saturday and I said, is is he just as good? Like, is he next up? Like, Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper and EJ Williams are the deserved top three, right, on the depth chart. Is
Yeah.
Charlie Becker just as good, Matt?
I think Charlie Becker could definitely give EJ Williams a run for his money. And I like EJ Williams a
Me
lot.
too.
Um, um, I mean, it's just good to have depth. I mean, it's good to have depth at least one position on this team, right? Like, and this team actually has pretty decent depth overall. I think.
Yeah,
I
I don't
think
know. I gotta look. You know
of.
what? That's my homework for this week. I'm gonna dig into the depth more because I feel like Indiana's okay, especially after the last couple of weeks. Like emerging, some of these pieces are emerging. I don't know. I gotta look that up. Good point.
I mean, you say Cignetti likes the transfer portal.
Yeah,
Um, and he does. I mean, obviously, but I think he's had to use it at Indiana. I don't think that's necessarily the way he wants to build teams, right?
ooh,
I think if you look at what Tom Allen left him with and what he brought in from JMU, I mean, he's going to bring in his guys,
of
right?
course. Yeah.
But look what he was left with at IU. I mean, some of those guys turned out fantastic. Some of them left and came back and are fantastic right now, and Lewis Moore and
Some
Bedford.
of them left and are getting
Um,
3 interceptions for UCF on Friday night in Philip Dunham. Did you
yeah,
see that?
I mean, look, Tom Allen left this team with a decent amount of talent, but not in specific positions. There wasn't a ton of talent at quarterback that was left over,
Or
especially after or that we really wanted,
look, Matt,
or
I don't
wanted to
know.
stay,
I
I
don't want to
guess.
relitigate this stuff. Actually, you and I don't have much of a problem with Tom Allen. Our biggest thing with Tom Allen was his assistant coach choices.
Is it yeah, his assistant coach choices were just bad. But I think what I'm trying to say here is I think Cignetti
Yeah,
wants guys like Charlie Becker. Like he wants to develop guys. That was his whole shtick for forever. Has been finding guys that are undervalued at their position
yeah,
or their talent level, or maybe in Alabama it was guys that were like top tier talents, right? But finding
of
guys
course,
who
yeah.
have top tier talent and helping them flourish. He was known as a guy that developed players for the longest time, right? You look at all the guys from JMU, he helped develop, except for Surratt. Surratt came from
Oh, St.
St.
Francis.
Francis.
Yeah, yep.
Right. My mom's alma mater, actually. But
Hey,
came from St. Francis. But other than that, all of those guys he recruited to JMU and developed them there and then brought them to Indiana and continued to develop them. Like he wants to develop players. And so the Charlie Becker thing doesn't surprise me at all. Like in fact,
man.
it's about dang time, right? It's about time that we start seeing some of the guys that um, you know, either signed with Tom Allen and stayed with Cignetti or signed with Cignetti and have stayed even though they haven't had a starting role, kind of step up and show a bit of promise. And I think Charlie Becker is the first of many to do that.
So good. Let's just go rapid fire through some of the other things that I had flagged from this Penn State game, Matt, that
Good.
your ESPNs and your Foxes and your CBSs don't have enough time to talk about. So
Yeah.
my next guy that I have listed here is Elijah Hardy. 12 tackles,
So good.
sack. Um,
So
our biggest question mark for this entire football team coming into this season was what happens with the other linebacker next to Aiden Fisher.
Yep.
Like Aiden Fisher's
Boy,
great.
has that been answered. Boy,
With
has
like
that been answered.
two guys plus some. I mean,
Yeah.
Elijah
No, I mean,
Hardy, Bones
I'm
Jones.
wondering. I'm wondering what next year is going to be like with these guys when they get another year in the system because some of them are going to
Man,
return.
Caden Turner got the pick against Maryland. Jeff Utzinger had a big tackle on special teams. I don't know if he's a safety linebacker, but like he had a big tackle on special teams against Penn State on Saturday. Like, wow. Elijah Hardy is looking every bit of an NFL linebacker out there. I
Yeah.
mean, the size, the speed, the athleticism. Forget the box score, which shows the 12 tackles and the sack. He did an outstanding job limiting Penn State's great running game to 3 yards a carry, three and a half yards a
Yeah.
carry. And that was even, I mean, and it was really at like 2 yards a carry until Singleton ripped off the 60-yarder in the fourth quarter.
Hmm.
There was a stretch there for about 3.5 quarters where Penn State had like 28 carries for 56 rushing yards. And Elijah Hardy was a
The
significant part of that.
major part of that.
If you're a national
Yeah.
voice covering college football, get yourself familiar, get familiar with speaking Elijah Hardy. That is how you will express high IQ when talking about Indiana football. Once they get into the Big Ten championship game in the CFP. Aiden Fisher was
Yep.
back, Matt, and he looked awesome. I mean, he wasn't the headliner, he
He
wasn't the
always looks
whatever
awesome.
else. I mean, just I need to continue giving him credit because for some reason, even in the preseason, it was like Kamara and Pons are the best players on this defense, and Aiden Fisher's right there for start of the season. Oh, is Aiden Fisher doing this? Is Aiden Fisher doing that? In addition to the leadership, which by the way, even when he didn't play against Maryland, he was showing that on a consistent basis for the entirety of the 60 minutes on the sideline, just balling out at linebacker, pressuring the quarterback, limiting those explosive plays was awesome to see. Um, no Drew Evans, as you said, Matt. Ade Ajani, left guard. I know there was a lot of pressure in Mendoza's face. Are you good with Ajani over Mahalski until Drew Evans comes back?
Yeah, I think I am. But they need to work on some communication. There's a lot of if you watch the game back, which I did because it was so much
Oh, you
fun.
have to, yeah.
A lot of miscommunication on the left side of the line. So a lot of miscommunication, a lot of missed blocks, a lot of missed assignments, right? Again, this is what happens when you know like the thing about offensive line, right? And I think a lot of you know this because you're educated football fans at this point.
Hell yeah.
But I mean, it's just because, we're in the thick of college football now. But they work as a unit, right? And so when you start losing pieces of the unit and the communication gets shaky and people aren't as sure with certain assignments and they don't have a ton of experience playing with each other and knowing their weaknesses and the strengths of the people, standing butt to butt next to you, right? Literally. Cheek to cheek. So,
Yo,
like you gotta give him time. And I don't, an away game in Happy Valley against that defense that is
well,
playing with so much fire and passion for their coach, right? For one of their
yeah,
defensive,
just that was horrid. Yep,
assistants,
yep.
right? Um, that's a tough ask. And I thought he did an okay job. I think overall as a team, they kind of played their C game,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Maybe
fair.
C
C plus.
minus C game, C plus, somewhere in the C's. They played a C game.
I agree.
Um, and I think Penn State played maybe their best game of the year outside of the Oregon game. Um, and
Yeah, it was just
IU
different,
still
different
found a way to win.
circumstances.
It's different circumstances, but just this I
Yeah,
speaking of different, this IU team is just different. They're
yeah,
just different. They're
yeah.
just different.
No, for sure. I noted here, Fernando Mendoza's wheels, his mobility. Looks like early in the game, Mike Shanahan and Cignetti like getting him going on the ground just to, I don't know, maybe settle down the juice, the wind up. Yeah, I'm sure
I
Mendoza's,
don't think it's that.
or he's just mobile.
I don't think it's that either. I think they want to put the fear of God in the other team that he can run for 15 yards at any given time. Right? Because then as a defense, you're sitting there on the sideline after, he runs in
Yeah,
the score. Like, well, now I guess you got to keep a linebacker,
in the middle
in
of the field,
over the middle,
spy,
right?
spy,
You got to
or
keep
whatever.
you got to
Yeah,
spy, right? Like you got to look out for if they're in this formation, like, there's a chance he just tucks and runs, right? So you guys got to be prepared for that. It just adds another layer of
yeah,
to the offense
fear.
that the other team has to prepare for.
And then, on the offshoot of that, though, to me, Matt, is this like Our main, our instant reaction once Mendoza committed to Indiana out of the portal from Cal was that he is he is not the same as Curtis Rourke in the sense of you get two extra things with Mendoza that you do not get with Curtis Rourke. You get the mobility, you get more mobility, especially with Rourke playing with the knee injury last year. And then the second thing is you get you get a couple of erratic throws, a couple of questionable decisions every game that Curtis Rourke didn't have an issue with. Just as far as what we've talked about, right? Mendoza taking a couple sacks against Penn State, Mendoza throwing those fourth quarter INTs against Iowa, against Oregon, against Penn State. Yeah, all three Euro games. Right? You're gonna get that. And to me,
No.
sign me up every day of the week. Sign me up. Give me the quarterback that throws the occasional interception because he is pushing the ball down the field. He's got the talent to squeeze the
Yeah.
ball into tight windows, throw it accurately, throw it with strength into elevating this offense to another level. Give me a quarterback that has the mobility, even if it means he takes an extra sack or two, even if it means, he invites a little pressure, invites a little contact. Obviously, you don't want Mendoza to stay injured or to get injured, but you know, you get that
Yeah.
extra level of dynamic play. You get that extra level of playmaker. That's exactly what I want to see out of Mendoza. And then all I'm gonna say is, like, I just want to reiterate this point that I made at the top. This is not this. It is hard to win on the road. This was different. This was an entirely different atmosphere, entirely different environment. It was a one of one situation, moment, opportunity. This is not the same as a road game against South Carolina, road game against Kansas State or Baylor, road game against Georgia Tech or Cal or Duke.
Right.
Okay? This is freaking Penn State with everything on the line, and Indiana found it, found a way. I felt I felt like Indiana. So just to give you a lens into how I watch games, I
Hmm.
I sat here and I I thought Indiana was in pretty good shape late in the game at Iowa. Okay?
Right.
I never
Yeah. Man.
I look, Iowa could have won that game. Obviously their win probability was 70-80% in the fourth quarter. But I sat here and I said, Indiana at least has answers, right? You have Surratt on the field. You have Cooper on the field. You have Mendoza who can make some big throws in tough environments in nice weather in Iowa City. I sat here and I said, you know what? Indiana, even against Ohio State last year, I sat there and I said, you know what? If Indiana plays a clean fourth quarter, you can make the Buckeyes nervous. It never ended up happening. But I sat here and I said, if you play a clean fourth quarter, you can make the Buckeyes nervous. The Buckeyes have 14 points because of special teams errors on Indiana's part. Indiana can make this happen.
Yeah.
I did not feel it Saturday against Penn State, man. At the end of that game,
Nope.
I was I was ready to sort of see the headlines, see the reports, see the post game recaps. Penn State gets their memorable win of the season, their statement win of the season, fighting through adversity, 24-20 over Indiana. The Hoosiers
Mm.
just didn't have it, but the Hoosiers will still make the Big Ten championship game. The Hoosiers will still make the college football playoffs. Just you're 9-1 instead of 10-0. I I didn't see it, especially after that first down sack, but Indiana made it happen, and now the Hoosiers are 10-0 going into the game against Wisconsin. Um, the Badgers are a problem are in the thick of a rough season. They did have a win over
You could
Washington.
say that.
They did have a win
Yeah.
over Washington on Saturday, but the Hoosiers will take on Wisconsin Saturday at noon. Um, Indiana's a 30.5 point favorite.
I hope they score 80.
30.5 point favorite. The Badgers are 3-6. Of course, Indiana can't take any team with a losing record for granted. You can't do that. You
After the last
obviously
week,
want to
no.
button it up. Um, we'll talk about this Wisconsin game for a sec here. and give you a pick or two of the week as far as the Big Ten is concerned in just a sec. Real quick, though, a social media shout out. Folks, a reminder if you enjoy our show, leave us a review, tell a friend, share our links. That kind of support really helps us grow this podcast and reach more passionate IU fans such as yourself. Matt, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, we are Indiana HQ, not the Hoosier Sound. On Instagram, we're not Indiana HQ, but what are we?
Indiana.HQ.
You can find us there. So, Matt, like I mentioned just a moment ago, Indiana is a 30.5 point favorite against Wisconsin on Saturday. Noon, Big Ten Network, Bloomington. The over-under is 44.5, so they're not expecting too many points in this game, especially from a Wisconsin point of view. They're expecting something like a 37-7 final score. Wisconsin is
Right.
going to feel better about themselves, Matt. They did announce Luke Fickell return next year. Actually, a move that I like. I'm not going to dive into that too much here, but at the end of the day, that is a roster with limitations. It's the final home game of the season for Indiana. I think at the end of the day here, the Hoosiers will take this one comfortably. Where do you think the Badgers could give Indiana some problems, Matt? They did a good job defensively against Washington on Saturday. Where do you think they could pose some problems for Indiana coming up?
Well, they have a good run defense,
Yeah.
and offensively, they run the ball pretty well,
Yeah.
or at least they have in the last couple of games. But I mean, their offense is pretty much extremely one-dimensional. I mean, they won a game last week where their punter was the leading passer on their team of
Yeah.
24 yards. Okay. Like their offense is atrociously bad. Um, and by the way, I agree with you. I think keeping Fickle is a good idea.
Yeah.
For Wisconsin, but that's a side tangent. Anyways, yeah, Wisconsin's offense is atrocious. Their defense is actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And I really think their run defense especially is good. I
Yeah.
think they rank pretty highly in PFF for that. Um, but I think this game is just going to be a good test of Indiana's offensive line. Like this is
Yeah.
the perfect, you know, warm up really for the biggest game of the season coming up, which is not Purdue, but Ohio State in Indianapolis. And just getting them to be a cohesive unit. I think getting through this game, the line's 30.5. I'd actually probably take the under on that. I would take Wisconsin to cover. But I don't think Indiana's going to play anybody past the third quarter. Like, and I don't think they should. I think this team needs to stay healthy. They need to get rest. They need to get well because we need this team at absolutely 100% to even give Ohio State any sort of, scare or a shot at them at all. And I think the coaching staff knows that. So, yeah, just looking ahead, I mean,
Yeah.
I really don't see us struggling with Wisconsin at all. This is going to be the quickest preview of all time, but like I
Yeah.
really think IU probably wins this game by
Yeah.
like 27-ish,
Yeah.
and it's never that close.
Is it like 27 nothing? Or is it yeah, I mean
I think they get a field goal. I think it's probably
okay.
30-3.
3. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I had this one like 38 nothing. I don't know how
Yeah.
Wisconsin scores. I really don't. And again,
I also don't know how they
you're right.
score,
They could get a
but
field goal or something, who knows. But um
they get field off like a kickoff return or something. They, whatever.
something, right? I guess to that point though, I do have
Football's football.
Indiana going across that 30.5 spread. So that's how I see it. Hey, shout out to linebacker Cooper Catalano last week for Wisconsin on Saturday. He had 19 tackles to help the Badgers get the win over
That's crazy.
Washington. Linebacker Mason Posa had just as impressive of a game, if not even more, 11 tackles, but he had 2.5 sacks in the win over the Huskies. So
Yeah.
um, they
Now,
got
again,
good
this is good
players.
practice for Ohio State. This is good practice for Ohio State though, because Ohio State, like Avril Reese,
Yeah, Arvell Reese. Yeah,
Arvil Reese, sorry, not Avril, Arvil Reese. They use their linebackers
yeah,
they go all over the field for this Ohio State team. They play basically every position on the field. They got them, going back into coverage. You got them rushing the
I mean,
passer. You've got them stopping the run. They do everything for Ohio State's defense, and so does this Wisconsin
well,
team.
that's a
These
great point.
linebackers
Because, like,
roam.
yeah, I mean, the middle of the Big Ten is good. I like, if you go out there and you face one of the bottom teams in the standings, and I look at this right now, like Michigan State, Purdue, and Penn State don't have a win in conference play yet. I mean, even like Michigan State taught Indiana lessons this year, just as far as how to defend a
Mm,
dynamic quarterback. Maryland taught Indiana lessons this year. UCLA taught Indiana lessons this year. How do you beat press coverage? How do you handle a mobile quarterback? How do you navigate a defense that gets an interception off of you early? Right? Like, because UCLA and Maryland both got Mendoza on the first drive. Like, as you're saying, Wisconsin now is going to teach Indiana one or two things for Ohio State for the college football playoff. And this is where I don't
mm.
agree with the conversation that, oh, the middle of the SEC is better than the middle of the Big Ten. I don't think it is because the only difference is the SEC had a bunch of these overrated middling teams ranked in the top 25 before the year started. Had
Yeah,
you ranked Iowa,
yeah.
had you ranked Nebraska, was Nebraska ranked? Nebraska may have been ranked. Can't
Nebraska might
remember.
have been ranked.
If you ranked,
Also, I don't think we don't want to bring Nebraska into this conversation. Nebraska's annoying.
anyway, all I'm saying is,
They're
if
annoying.
these middling teams, Nebraska still is. I would take Nebraska to beat Vanderbilt every day of the week, even with a backup quarterback, TJ Latif, in the game right now. Um, like I'd take Nebraska to
Don't know
beat
if I agree with
Florida.
you
I'd
there.
take Nebraska to beat Mizzou. I would take Nebraska to beat
Yes,
Tennessee. I would take
yes.
Nebraska to beat, okay.
Man,
Yeah, I mean, no, I look. That's just how I see it. End of the day, though,
let's
I
not.
think
Let's not
I,
make this Nebraska. I don't like Nebraska. Let's not make this a
anyway,
Nebraska
but
podcast, please.
to the original point, I feel like a lot of these teams in the middle of the Big Ten, or even the bottom of the Big Ten, when you look at Michigan State, Penn State, have taught Indiana a lot of lessons this year that should help the Hoosiers looking
Mm,
ahead to this Ohio State game or the CFP. Um, in particular, like it did not like it taught Indiana a lot of lessons, and so I think that's it's valuable here. I just don't see much marginal, like I don't see much more benefit in Indiana beating teams by 40 points. So I'm happy they had that type of game against Penn State. Real test of the finish, real test of adversity, real test of character. Indiana got across the finish line and got the job done. Matt, this upcoming weekend, we have 8 Big Ten games. One of them is on Friday, Minnesota, Oregon. The rest of these are on Saturday,
yep.
including the Wisconsin Indiana game at noon on Big Ten Network. Matt, when we had our podcast a couple of weeks ago, you got both of your picks right. You said Ohio State was going to cover against Penn State. They went ahead and did that. When
Cool.
Purdue went to Michigan, you said the Boilermakers would cover. The Boilermakers covered, kept it close against the Wolverines in Ann Arbor in a night game. I thought Minnesota was going to cover against Michigan State. That didn't go well. And Minnesota won, they just didn't cover. And even though Nebraska, I
They
thought,
didn't
and I
cover, yeah.
said, hey, I said, give me the extra odds on Nebraska beating USC, and the Huskers lost Rayola in the middle of the game, and that didn't help their cause. So you're coming off a hot week, Matt. As you look at the spreads,
Yep.
as you
Well,
look
stay
at
hot.
the money lines, the spreads, what are your favorite picks either against the spread or are there any upsets straight up head to head that have caught your eye as we look ahead to week 12 in college football?
I got two upsets for you. Not one. I got two. I've got Northwestern upsetting Michigan at home.
Ooh.
And I've got Iowa upsetting USC.
Wow.
I'm taking both of them straight money line.
Straight and hey, and I'm gonna track the, you get the benefit of the odds, just like, I said, Nebraska's not, I'm not looking at a Nebraska cover. I'm looking at a Nebraska win, and just like that. So you're gonna get the extra benefit there. Um, Northwestern over Michigan at noon on
To
Saturday.
make them bowl eligible.
Oh man.
I don't like this Michigan team at all. I hate everything about them.
Do they have
I
another
don't like
game?
when I
Oh,
watch
they had
them,
to go to Maryland before Ohio State. Wow. Okay.
they do.
Weird.
I every time I watch this Michigan team play, I want to throw up. And I think this Northwestern team is going to make this that plays that style of football that is just going to make Michigan fans want to tear their hair out. They play disciplined, hard-nosed football.
They do.
They don't make a ton of mistakes. And I don't think this Michigan team of has the same athletic prowess and demonstrative strength difference
Yeah.
over their opponent that they have had in the past. And so I think this Northwestern team is going to keep it close enough. They're at home. I like them to win that game. And then USC's at home against Iowa. Everybody thinks USC is going to win this. Oh my gosh, Makai Lemon is amazing, and they have all these offensive.
Yeah.
Well, in come Iowa's defense is going to make Jordan Maiava's life or Jaden Maiava's life,
Jaden, yeah.
Jaden Maiava's life, a living hell. And they're going to play Iowa football, and it doesn't really matter if they're playing in Kinnick or not. They're going to play this messy, gritty, sloppy, disgusting style of football that they play, and they're going to force USC into a game that they're going to be super uncomfortable with.
You get it looks like there's like a plus 280 floating around for Northwestern against Michigan. There's like a plus 200 floating around for Iowa over USC. So I will flag that for how we keep track of this. I'm going to take Penn State to cover against Michigan State. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a believer in this Penn State thing with Terry Smith. I think they sort of went through a mid-season, they got in their feelings and they were very disappointed with how the season turned around. I think Penn State is uh is live to finish their season 6-6 with three straight wins. So I think Penn State to cover against Michigan State, Penn State minus 6.5 on the road. And then I'm going to take Washington to cover 17 at home against Purdue. This to me is just home Huskies back in Seattle after a disgusting loss on the road where, Jed Fish is going to light his team up for a week. And
Yeah.
I was a big believer in Purdue about a month ago. I actually sat here and I said, of all the games coming up on Indiana's schedule, I was more concerned about the game at Purdue than I was with the
Yeah.
games at Maryland or even at Penn State. This had already been a situation where Penn State fired James Franklin and they were going through the thing against Northwestern, against UCLA, and that sort of stuff. And I really genuinely sat here, and I was like, I think this road game against Purdue at night, Black Friday at Purdue, is going to be kind of a problem. And I think the last few weeks for Purdue have been really, really rough from a football standpoint. So give me Washington at home in Seattle. Um, just night game, well, late evening game for the Seattle folks, 7 Eastern kick there.
Yeah.
It's just one of those games where I'm like, Washington, especially if they try to make Damon Williams feel good about himself, which makes a lot of sense. I think that's one where Washington could run rampant. Anything
A
else, Matt?
steamroll.
Anything else caught your attention? Whether it's the IU Penn State game, again, we'll talk about basketball later. Anything else caught your attention across college football, SEC, ACC, Big 12 action? Anything you want to mention before we wrap up here on this Monday?
The SEC is stinky poo poo. That's my they're just bad. That as a conference, they're just bad. Every week I stay up, watch these games, and then I can't fall asleep afterwards. So I end up watching some SEC game. And I watch the style of football that they play, and it's stinky poo poo. That's my final thoughts. Stinky, stinky poo poo.
Man, yeah. Um,
Just the most educated, most eloquent,
I like that.
you know, coverage of the sport here on Indiana. Stinky
Oh,
poo poo.
so good. Yeah, I mean,
It's just a bad product. It's just a bad product to watch. And ESPN will sit there and get on their knees and strap some knee pads on and try to milk everything they can out of the SEC like it is 2013.
you know what, Matt? Along those lines, I'm gonna say something that I said, I don't know, I think a month ago on this podcast. I think Oregon can win the national title. Like I think they're live.
They're live, but
I'm not saying that like I would say they're most likely. I think tier one is probably Ohio State, Indiana, and I think tier two is Texas A&M.
tier one is just Ohio State, by the way. IU has to pull off a miracle to beat Ohio State, I think. And I love and like and again, you guys know me. I'm
I
doing an
don't
Indiana
agree.
podcast.
I don't agree.
I no, they
I
need a
don't
miracle.
agree.
I think that this Ohio State team is I think when all is said and done at the end of the season, when we look back on it, it may be 3 or 4 years from now, we're gonna look back on this Ohio State team, and there's gonna be 40 NFL guys on this team.
No, I hear you. I hear you for sure. No question about it. But I think Indiana is on the same tier as far as a team that can
40
win
is
the
a lot.
national.
30,
Yeah,
30
no, it's
guys, 30 guys.
you
But
know,
yeah,
and
yeah,
again,
but like a ton. There's gonna
hey,
be so many NFL
and
players.
I even think Ohio State could beat Indiana by 21 in the Big Ten championship game. I'm not kidding though when I say this. I think it's just as likely that Indiana beats Ohio State by 21. I think Ohio State can win the national title easily. I also think Indiana can win the national title easily. But then
I
I would
agree, but
say
they're gonna need a miracle to do so.
but then I would say I don't agree with that. But then I would say there's a tier drop off. Goes to Texas A&M, and then I would say Oregon is right there. Oregon is doing everything
Okay.
that catches my eye when I think about who's not getting talked about enough. Who's not getting mentioned enough as a team that can make a deep run in the CFP, that can win the national title? I'm not talking about, winning a game in the play. I'm talking about deep run to the final four, to the final two. This Oregon team reminds me a lot of the Notre Dame team that made the championship last year. They remind me a lot of the Michigan, a little bit. I see a little bit of the Michigan team that maybe didn't win the national title, but maybe the team that lost that national title game previously, like Michigan, I thought, that was right there. So I look at this Oregon team, Matt, and and we use this end here to sort of cover off on things we didn't talk about yet. Like I think they're live. I think they have a little bit of a chance here to
If they
to
run the ball like they
to
did last game, then
I
yeah, they
just
have a chance.
that the way they run the ball, they're sort of, they're banged up for sure. They got to get healthier. But I'm a big Dan Lanning fan. I think they're good on the trenches, and think you know don't take them lightly. But folks, that about wraps it up for 355th show of the Hoosier Sound. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your support. To hear more fantastic episodes like the one you heard today, be sure to follow us at Indiana HQ or at the Hoosier Sound to make sure you don't miss any in the future. You can also go to our website, indianahq.com, to find it all in one place. But as always, thank you for listening, Hoosier Nation, and we'll see you next time.
Peace and love, go Hoosiers.